Hello class. Once again we're looking at scale factor and missing length. So today we are finding the scale factor. The essential question is, how do I find the scale factor and missing lengths of similar figures? Learning intention, I'm learning to find the scale factor of dilated figures. So pause the video. You've got two warm-up questions. Find the missing side lengths. So find x in both of those problems. Pause the video now. Well, I hope that you paused the video and thought about it. So as you're looking, you've got to match up. 12 matches with 3, and 20 matches with x. Because they are the corresponding pieces. So how are we going to set our equivalent fractions up? That depends on how you see it. I could go 12 over 20. Those are on the same figure. Okay, 12 corresponds to 3, so the 3 must go on top, and the x must go on the bottom because they also correspond. If I want to go from triangle to triangle, 12 over 3 equals 20 over x. Either way you look at it, these two are on the same figure. These two are corresponding pieces, and that's the way you set it up. To solve, you will take 20 times 3 divided by 12, or 3 times 20. Guess what? Both of them give you 60 divided by 12. 20 times 3 divided by 12, and you get 5. Okay, so let's look. 3 times 4 gives me 12. 5 times 4 gives me 20. So I know I've got the correct number. If you did not get the first one on your own, pause the video and see if you can do the second one on your own. Well, hopefully you were able to do both of them on your own to begin with, but that's okay if you didn't. Let's solve. Corresponding parts, x and 5 correspond. 48 and 6 correspond. Now I'm going to set my equivalent fractions up. We're not going to do it both ways, only one way. So x over 5 will equal 48 over 6. I do a quick check. X and 48 are on the same triangle. 5 and 6 are on the same triangle. X and 5 correspond. 48 and 6 correspond. I'm ready to go. So multiply and then divide. 5 times 48. Divide it by 6. And you get 40. So x is 40. 5 times 8 gives me 40. 6 times 8 gives me 48. That's the same number to multiply by, so I know I'm correct. And this brings us back to the idea of scale factor. Your scale factor is the number you multiply the original length by to get the new scaled length. So for your formula, your original length times your scale factor will give you the scaled length. So find the scale factor of the following scaled figures. Step 1, you have to determine which sides correspond. I can use 15 and 12, or I can use 40 and 32. Does not matter. So I'm going to use 15 and 12. Here's my formula. What is my original length? 15 is my original length, times my scale factor will give me 12. That's my scaled length. Now you're solving it with algebra. You're solving for your scale factor by dividing both sides by 15. So my scale factor is equal to 12 over 15. But I've got to simplify that number. If you are really good at math, you know that 3 goes into top and bottom, so we'll be factoring out 3. For those of you that are not as good and still struggle, that is okay. Get your calculator, type in 12 divided by 15. Here's your math button. Hit your math button. You want that simplified fraction, so you hit enter. You hit enter again, and it gives you 4 over 5. So your scale factor is 4 over 5. So on the next one, we're not looking for missing lengths. We're simply looking for our scale factor. So I've got 42. Got 42. My question is, does it match the 7 or the 8? Hopefully you said the 7. 42 and 7 are in the same corresponding positions. So I use my formula. 42 times my scale factor will give me 7. Use my algebra to simplify. Divide both sides by 42. I have my scale factor. Okay, if you're good at math, you know that 7 goes into 42 6 times. So this would be 1 over 6. If you're not good at math, remember, you now have a quick way to do it with your calculator. 7 divided by 42. Math button. Set enter. Enter. 1 over 6. So it is exactly the same. We've been able to simplify quickly. So back it up, listen to it again if you're still struggling with the idea of scale factor. Okay, so I'm still looking for scale factor, but I'm also finding the missing side lengths. I'm going to think, if this is 40 and this is 40, I don't know what these two are, but they have to be the same. So this one's X and this one's X. I've got 18, I've got 18. I've got 15, I've got 15 would be the correct answer. So for my scale factor, 18 and 15 correspond. So I will match them up. So 18 times my scale factor will give me 15. Divide both sides by 2, or by 18. Okay, so my scale factor is 15 over 18. Okay, 3 goes into both, so it is 5 over 6. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So my simplified fraction is 5 over 6. Okay, so we can find the missing side lengths with our scale factor or with setting up those equivalent fractions. For your equivalent fractions, we need to match up corresponding pieces. X and 40 correspond. So do I want to do 18 over x is 15 over 40, or 18 over 15 equals x over 40? Either way works. Let's get started. 40 times 18 divided by 15. And we get 48. Okay, now we still are missing two sides over here. But we know if this one's 48, this one is also 48. Any questions? Okay, on the next three, we're just finding missing measures. So, mark your corresponding. What we are noticing, this is the same as this. This is the same as this. If this one's 20, this one is also going to be 20. Whatever this one is, this one will be the same. So, matching your pieces. Your x and your 20 are in the same position. Your 36 and your 30 are in corresponding positions. So x over 36 is equal to 20 over 30. Do your math. "36 times 20 divided by 30. And you get 24. So if this one's 24, this one will also be 24, because they are both kites. On the next one, think it out. They are both rectangles, so the opposite sides will be congruent. I'm looking at the relationship between 18 and 36, because this same relationship must exist. Okay, so if I'm looking, those correspond. These correspond. But I want you to think when we set them up. What is the relationship between 18 and 36? 18 is 1/2 of 36. 15 is 1/2 of what number? If you said 30, you would be correct. 15 times 2 is 30. That's your relationship. If you do it mathematically, this is where our x was. So it would be 15 times 36 divided by 18. And that also gives you 30. So either way, but start looking, start analyzing, start thinking. Geometry is all about using your brain and thinking things out logically. Okay, now I claim we can find 3 of these sides without doing much more than thinking. So I'm going to look. These are 6 and 3. This is 3. This must be what? 6 is correct. This is 3. This is 6. If this is 6, this must be what? What's the relation? 3 times what gives me 6? I've got to have the same relation over here. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, now I'm going to look again. If this one's 6 and this one's 12, I've multiplied by 2. If this one's 3 and this one's 6, I've multiplied by 2. If this one's 3 and this one's 6, once again, I've multiplied by 2. How will I go from 8 to this number here? You will multiply by 2. If you wanted to set it up, you could do, this is my x. X over 8 is equal to 6 over 3. So, you know you're successful when you can find the scale factor and missing measures of similar figures. It requires thought process, and hopefully you're willing to do that. So, today's summary, we're looking at scale factors and missing links again.